Tantor Audio presents The Village Effect, How Face-to-Face Contact Can Make Us Healthier, Happier, and Smarter, by Susan Pinker. Narrated by Donna Postel. You cannot live for yourselves. 1,000 fibers connect you with your fellow men, and along those fibers, as along sympathetic threads, run your actions as causes, and return to you as effects. The Reverend Henry Melville, 1856. Introduction. People who need people. One June day in 2009, a rock musician named John McColgan was told that he needed a new kidney, and he needed it fast. Every day in the United States, 12 people died waiting for a kidney, and when John's name was added to the kidney transplant waiting list, the list was 86,218 names long. At the time he was living in Canada, though, where the list included only 2,941 people. Still, he took the news badly. John is a drummer, an energetic and sinewy man with a smoothly shaved head. Though he had been diagnosed with progressive kidney disease when he was in his mid-20s, he'd had few symptoms and until that moment hadn't spent much time worrying about his health. At 48, he was often on the basketball court with men a decade younger, and he liked nothing better than to shoot a few hoops with his 17-year-old son. John skateboarded around town in summer, snowboarded in winter, and did push-ups and crunches every day on the floor of his living room, not to mention all the drumming, a workout in itself. Before turning 30, he had played with Linda Ronstadt and Kate and Anna McGarrigle, and a short time later he backed up Big Mama Thornton and opened for superstars such as James Brown and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Still, when money was scarce, he wasn't above digging irrigation ditches and working renovation jobs. John's gas tank was often empty, his rent overdue. But his exuberance on stage and his light-heartedness off stage gave him the eternal charm of a schoolboy. He always got by with a little help from his friends. John was rich in one important way. He had amassed a committed circle of friends, most of whom knew one another and regularly crossed paths, a feature of the most powerful and effective social networks. A large bank balance wouldn't have helped him much in this situation in any case, as it's illegal to buy or sell organs for transplantation everywhere in the world, except Iran and Singapore. And in the current crisis, family couldn't help him. His father had died at 50 of polycystic kidney disease, a genetic disorder he'd passed on to his son, and his mother had died a few years earlier of cancer. After months of dialysis, John realized he couldn't simply wait for his turn for a new kidney. He had to go looking for one. By the time I met up with John less than 18 months later, the transplant ordeal was behind him. I'd known him for at least 20 years, and the change in him was stark. He seemed frail. The buzzed hair around the back of his bare skull was as short as a day's growth of beard, and his skin looked transparent in what little light filtered in through the high, grimy windows of the Montreal cafe where we met. He told me that 4 people he knew had offered to give him a kidney. The first was his ex-wife, Amy, but her drug addiction had savaged her health along with their marriage. Though she had recently kicked the habit, her organs had paid the price. His wife's sister had also offered, but John decided that would just be too complicated. When I asked Jessie, a mother of 3 small children and a professional dancer, why she would take this huge risk, she was taken aback. "Well, you know John. Everyone loves him. Why wouldn't I give him my kidney?" Then a longtime friend, Kate, walked up to John at a gallery opening and blurted out that she wanted to help. She told me later that as soon as she offered her kidney, she felt scared. She then called the transplant nurse to ask what would be the worst thing that could happen if she went ahead. The nurse told her that 1 person in 3,000 dies during the operation, and that the surgeon might accidentally nick her spleen. Then I thought, I'm not going to die. That's just not going to happen to me. Still, the testing was grueling, and it didn't stop even after they found that her blood type and...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?